What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Alex Wilson. And today we're going to be talking about Evan Neal and why we believe he's ready to take a big step forward in 2023. After a pretty disappointing rookie season, Neal has said that he was pretty disappointed about it, but this offseason, he's worked damn hard. He's been collaborating with former All-Pro offensive lineman Willie Anderson, working on fixing his form, and Giants offensive line coach Bobby Johnson recently talked about Neal and the improvements that he made and had some really interesting things to say about the changes in his stance. So we're going to go ahead and react to those quotes, dive into Evan Neal, why we think he's going to take a big step forward in this upcoming season. But before we do all that, make sure to leave a like if you do enjoy this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts on the topic down below in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and go ahead and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Fireside Giants, and go check us out on Facebook, Fireside Giants. Search for us and you'll find us. Big community group, post all of our articles and episodes there as well. And also, before we dive into the topic today, I want to give a special shout out to 3 fans who left some heartwarming comments on yesterday's episode: Nikki G02, Applesauce 9871, and King Ja 1988. Thank you to the 3 of you and to everybody who tunes in to Fireside Giants. We love and appreciate you so much, and we just want to keep building this community and providing you guys with awesome New York Giants content on a daily basis. So without further ado, man, I will hand it over to you, Alex. How are you doing today, my friend? And what are your thoughts on Evan Neal entering this season?
I'm doing great. And yes, everyone who has tuned in and dropped some positive comments, we appreciate you guys very much. Now, there are some negative people in the comment section, as always, and we appreciate you too, having a good conversation. And we can have good civil conversations, guys. Like, it's okay to do that online. You don't have to be very aggressive and hostile. It's okay. I know there's some stuff going on in your life, but you don't got to drag it into the FSG community, because we here are staying positive with Brian Dable and the rest of this team taking big steps forward. We're hoping for a good future, and there's no reason to be negative right now because we took such a big step forward in 2022. We got a good coaching staff. We have a front office and a general manager who understands the importance of value and not overspending at positions and not trying to push too much money into the future, because we have things to do. We got players to sign, want to keep some of our own, bring in some free agents, keep drafting well. These are all things that contribute toward a successful organization as a long-term successful organization, not a short-term window like you see with the Rams or other teams like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Short-term success, and then they are sucky for a couple years, if not a lot longer than that. So we're trying to have that kind of sustainable success, and I think the Giants are well on their way to establishing that. Now, there's still a lot left to do, and that part of that is really Evan Neal. Evan Neal struggled during his rookie season. Evan Neal gave up 8 sacks during his rookie season, 52 total pressures. He had 7 penalties. Now, this player came out of Alabama, a really good school, one of the best schools, probably the best offense, if not one of the top 3 best offenses in college football every single year. Evan Neal shut down, whatever side he was on, left tackle, right tackle. He was dominant, but you transition to the NFL and things get a little crazy. Things get a little tougher. There's faster guys with better bend, with better power. And ultimately, Evan Neal was not ready for that level of increase, especially because the NFC East football. So if you're an NFL, tackle, you're a rookie and you're in the NFC East, you got to play the Eagles twice a year, the Cowboys twice a year, Chase Young and Montez Sweat twice a year, and Deron Payne and all these guys. I know those guys are interior, but there's a lot of great pass rushers on the outside. Evan Neal, you just got to hold your ground, man. You got to hold yourself up. And what I love about him so much is that he's not the type of player to speak out to the media and say crazy things, say bad things. He just gets to work, This is a culture guy. This is a guy that you want in that room because he's going to do whatever it takes to get better. That's the type of player we have on this roster now. And think about it, guys. You want to know how young Evan Neal is? He's 22 years old, and he's going up against some of the best pass rushers in the game, some of the best veterans in the game. You look at the guys on the Eagles, they have like Brandon Graham, just ridiculous amount of talent there. I forget, they have that one outside linebacker or defensive end that went to absolute work last year. But it's not Marcus Golden. I know that was on the Cardinals. What's his name again? No.
Sorry, hold on. Hassan Reddick.
Hassan Reddick, dude went freaking crazy last season. I think like 10 plus sacks, something crazy, 16 maybe, 16, 17 sacks. Guy was just off the chains. No one was stopping him. You know what I mean? Like nobody. Montez Sweat, nobody stopping these guys. So Evan Neal certainly had his work cut out for him. But I think he can take a big step forward. And the reason being, the guy's an athletic freak. We talk about Dexter Lawrence and how big he is and how strong and physical and agile he is. Evan Neal's got that level of athleticism. You've seen the videos. The guy's got it. It's just a matter of tweaking the fundamentals. And that's kind of what you hit on, with Bobby Johnson, or whether it's off, with a third party. This is kind of a situation where Evan Neal has the leeway to say, you know what, I'm going to spend my offseason refining my technique, maybe changing my technique to better fit, learning from Pro Bowl level offensive tackles that have had tremendous success in the past. These are the type of guys you want to be training with, and Evan Neal's putting in the work, and I think he's going to come back a really solid player because, you look at his numbers early in the season. His first 2 games as a rookie, he only gave up 1 sack. I know that's not like crazy, but depending on if you look when he was playing, he gave up a couple sacks. He had 3 sacks against Dallas in week 3. So, he did have some decent games in pass protection early on. He was inconsistent. Some were good in run blocking, some were good in pass blocking, some were just awful altogether. That level of inconsistency is very much indicative of a rookie. So I'll say this. I think that coming back fully healthy, the MCL sprain he suffered, I know he doesn't want to give any credit to that derailing his season, but I certainly think it did, because it also affected guys like Wandale. It also affected guys like Leonard Williams, and half of our roster had the same injury, and they were down for weeks, and they really never recovered and performed the same. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. If you're calling Evan Neal a bust right now, I don't trust you. I don't consider your opinion. That's dumb as hell. I'm just going to get that out of the way. Anthony, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's way too soon to be calling Evan Neal a bust. But when you're looking at what he can do this upcoming season, I think it's good that you mentioned, all the competition that he faced last year, because that's not going anywhere, right? The NFC East is just chock full of talent, especially on the defensive line. You've got DeMarcus Lawrence in Dallas. You've got Josh Sweat, Montez Sweat, both of those guys, one on Philadelphia, one on Washington. And of course, Chase Young, we'll see where he winds up. Maybe he gets traded, but still young, talented pass rusher. Hasn't really put it together these past few years, but he can always take that next step this upcoming season. You never know. So Evan Neal's going to have to get used to facing the top of the talent. And this upcoming season, I think what's really going to help him is his new stance. We've talked about that quite a bit on the channel, how he worked with Willie Anderson to change his stance and get out with his kick step a little bit quicker and, kind of get better position early in the rep. He was struggling with a specific type of pass rushers, those being the speed rushers. But now the stance should allow him to get into position sooner in the snap, or sooner in the play rather, and be able to hold his own against those type of guys. So I think that a quote that really stood out to me from Bobby Johnson, Giants offensive line coach, about Evan Neal was saying that he doesn't want him to be bunched up anymore. And he was talking about the stance that he had, right? Because when you look at how Evan Neal was playing last year, he was kind of like huddled over himself. He was almost lined up like a guard while playing the right tackle spot. Another thing that you mentioned, Alex, is, he played at left tackle. He played at right tackle. A lot of people forget that Evan Neal started out as a guard, I'm pretty sure. I think he went guard, then right tackle, then left tackle at Alabama. And this quote from Evan Neal, I think, is really important when you consider that, because this is the first time in his career that he's entering a second season playing the same position. So let me read this quote from Evan Neal where he talks about that. He says, "It's extremely helpful. I mean, this is the first time that I've played the same position consecutive years of my life. You know what I'm saying? Even going back to high school. So I'm definitely excited to see how I feel for sure." End quote. So Evan Neal has never even had an opportunity to get comfortable. It's kind of a miracle that he became a first-round NFL draft pick and then as a starter in the NFL, considering he's moved to a different position every single year of his football career, dating back to high school. That blows my freaking mind. So going into year 2 here, continuity is key. It is so important on the offensive line, especially. And when we were taking a look at Evan Neal last year, there were times where, yes, he did look very uncomfortable. But keep in mind, he hadn't played the right tackle position in 2 years. He was getting used to a new position in a new league at a new level. So struggles were plentiful, but that's kind of what you expect when you're playing a brand new position and you're a rookie in the NFL. But going into year 2, Evan Neal did a lot of work this offseason studying what went wrong last year, what he can improve on, and now he's going to put all of that into practice this upcoming season. And I do believe that he's going to be a much better player. And again, Bobby Johnson's confident in him as well. Bobby Johnson was excited by the fact that he went ahead and started training with Willie Anderson, praised his work ethic, embraced the idea that he went out there and found outside help to fix his stance. And I think all of that stuff is important. Bobby Johnson giving Evan Neal the support that he needs, allowing him to go seek help outside of the organization. And then Neal just doing that, going ahead and doing that for himself. Good on him to work hard this offseason and Bobby Johnson described him as a worker, but he said last season his stance was too bunched up, and that caused too much wasted motion for such a large man. And talking about wasted motion, Bobby Johnson said, my big thing with a lot of guys is I don't care whether it's Evan, AT, Andrew Thomas, Ben Bredesen, or John Michael Schmitz. I don't care who it is. I want them to be efficient movers. I don't want any wasted motion in this league, especially in our division. As you mentioned, Alex, the pass rushers that we have, if you waste movement, they are gone. They are on the quarterback. I have no reason to believe with the work ethic that Neal put into the attention to detail and pushing to be a really good player that we'll see better results. End quote there. And that's my favorite quote from Bobby Johnson from that interview talking about Evan Neal. And I think it's spectacular. Talking about the waste of motion is really eye-opening. And again, when you look at the pass rushers in this division, a lot of them are really fast. They will get to the quarterback in a blink of an eye. So Evan Neal needs to be faster, and he can't waste motion. Otherwise, those pass rushers are going to get there. But now going into this year, he'll be quicker, he'll be more comfortable, and he has much better footwork and much better technique to mitigate these pass rushers. And again, he's been putting in all of that work, which is really important. So Alex, when you hear that quote from Bobby Johnson and you kind of reflect on this rookie season from Evan Neal, outside of the injury that he sustained that forced some struggles upon him, really thinking about that technique and how there was a certain brand of pass rushers, the speed rushers, that he really struggled against. How confident are you that after all this work that he's done this offseason to fix that stance, that he's going to be able to hold up a little bit better against that brand of pass rush?
I mean, look, it just takes experience sometimes, right? Like, I'm pretty confident that he's going to take a step forward, mainly because he has good coaching. You know, they're letting him develop on his own time. They're probably tasked him with a couple of things he needs to do. But a lot of times it looked like he was laid out of a stance. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what I noticed early on, at least like midway through the season, that the snap count, you know, we had so many different centers. You know, how many times do we have like significant injuries and lose guys? And it was like in and out, like in terms of the center position. There was a lot of inconsistency across the offensive line, and he seemed like he was delayed. Like he didn't really know when the snap was coming at times, like when to get out of his stance. And when he did, I felt like he was flat-footed. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't getting into the right spots, and he wasn't utilizing like a big enough kick step. I think maybe doing some yoga would help him because he needs to gain a little bit more flexibility. I think he looked kind of like a statue at times. Like you said, he kind of had that guard physique in a way. I think that getting a little bit more, like you watch Andrew Thomas, his leg goes freaking flying out of his stance. Like he is on that stance. Like he is out of his stance, not like literally the second that ball starts to move. Evan Neal sometimes was delayed. If you watch them side by side, like Andrew Thomas is in his stance already, and Evan Neal's like halfway through getting to that kick out. So with that being said, I think experience, reps in this offense, understanding things, staying healthy will go a long way towards helping him, but also just, increasing his flexibility, getting out there quickly. So that way, because think about it, like if you get out to your stance quickly, you're then able to react a lot faster to what pass rushers are trying to do. If they beat you around the edge before you even get into your stance, they're going to beat you around the edge. They're going to use that bend, that speed, and you can't stop somebody unless you're in front of them, because otherwise you're holding them and you're going to get called for a penalty. He was just getting blazed by because his timing was off. You watch Hassan Reddick against Evan Neal, I guarantee you're going to watch Hassan Reddick destroying him because he's laid out of his stance and because he can't get there in time. If Evan Neal gets to his stance in time and is able to react and get in front of those guys, he is a 6'7" brick wall of hamburger patties. There is no way you're getting past this man. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the reality of the situation. Getting out there faster, being better when the snap is actually called, and beating his opponent to the spot he needs to get to. That's going to be the priority, in my opinion. I think that was something he really struggled with during his rookie year.
Yeah, it's something that he definitely struggled with, but it's also something that he has worked all offseason long to fix. And again, I think that the work that he put in, it's going to be noticeable this upcoming season. I'm really excited for training camp because OTA's mini camp, that didn't really satisfy my urge to see some offensive linemen, because they're not hitting during those practices, those OTAs and stuff. But once we get to training camp, the pads will come on and we will see Kayvon Thibodeau versus Evan Neal, Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari versus Evan Neal and Andrew Thomas. And it'll get exciting from there. And then hopefully going up against good pass rushers like that, I think that's another thing to talk about because the benefit of the Giants having those good pass rushers, yes, it makes them a better team on Sunday, but it also makes them a better team at practice on Monday, Tuesday, and so on and so forth. Because having Azeez Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeau going up against Evan Neal on a play-by-play basis at practice, that ultimately will make Evan Neal a better player. Having two good pass rushers on this roster that he can practice with, that's going to make Evan Neal better. So I'm looking forward to training camp. I'm looking forward to this upcoming season. And again, I'm very confident in Evan Neal going into the season. If you haven't seen the picture of him at a recent training session during this offseason, the guy is yoked. He looks thinner, he looks faster, and he looks strong. He looks ready for this upcoming season. We posted it on the Instagram, so make sure to go check that out. And again, man, just really excited for Evan Neal this upcoming season. Looking forward to seeing what he puts onto the field, and can't wait to watch Brian Daboll's New York Giants go out there and win some more playoff games, hopefully. So, of course, we will catch you all in the next one. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts on the topic down below in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and also go follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Fireside Giants. Go check out our Facebook group. Plenty of New York Giants content coming your way on all your social media channels. And of course, shout out to all of the fans. We appreciate you listening to us, and we love you, and we love the Fireside Giants community. But without further ado, we will catch you all in the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.